All right, so we are going to be looking at hurricanes, tornadoes, thunderstorms, winter storms, floods, and we're also going to talk about what a mudslide is and how they happen and just the type of destruction that they can cause. So what is a tornado's favorite game? Teacher humor, Twister. Get it? Because another name for tornadoes is Twister. Thunderstorms. So thunderstorms are also electric storms. They have thunder and lightning. They usually are accompanied by strong winds and heavy rains. And they form from cumulus clouds building up to form a thunderhead. So if you ever have seen like the really dark, thick, tall clouds, those are actually called cumulonimbus clouds. And they are formed when a bunch of cumulus clouds start building up and come together. Of course, there's some of the dangers from thunderstorms. Fires are a possibility. If lightning strikes something that is flammable, it can cause a fire. This is especially hazardous whenever it hasn't rained in a while because the ground is dry, and that is like perfect conditions for a fire, unfortunately. Flooding can also occur. Sometimes there is such an excess of rain that the ground cannot absorb it quickly enough, or the rivers and creeks and streams, it just builds up too much and they overflow their bank, and that is how flooding occurs. Safety, you want to stay out of water. Water is a major conductor of electricity, and guess what lightning is? It's electricity. So if you are in water, let's say you're out on the lake and thunderstorm starts, you want to get out of the lake as quickly as possible, because you are more likely to get struck there than if you are on land. Sometimes tornadoes can, or some thunderstorms can produce tornadoes. This is a violent whirling of winds. You will see sometimes with tornadoes a funnel-shaped, or with thunderstorms, a funnel-shaped cloud hanging out of the bottom, and tornadoes actually sprout from those funnel clouds. They are most likely to occur in a low pressure system and are produced by severe thunderstorms. And they form when hot and cold air start spinning and create an updraft. So warm air collides with cold, dry air. The warm air rises up through the cold air, creating an updraft. And this updraft can sometimes, not always, but sometimes start spinning around. So you can see here in the picture, the warm air is rising through the middle. The cold air, which is the red arrows, are on the outside from the cumulonimbus cloud, and there is the updraft. Some damage that is caused by tornadoes: they will tear buildings, houses, cars apart. They will destroy everything in their path. Sometimes they can form over water. Those are called, I don't know if I'm the only one who calls them this, but the water spouts. They are categorized by their wind speed and the damage they cause. So you might have, I think it's a 0 to a 6 on the scale. So 0 is the least damaging, slowest wind speed. 6 is going to be your most damaging and your highest wind speed. It also has to do with how wide the tornado is. So and 0 is not going to be very wide at its base, but a 6 is going to be rather large. If you hear there are tornado sirens, if you ever hear one, you want to seek shelter. The best place to seek shelter is if you have a basement. That is going to be the best place to go. You want to get to the lowest floor of your house. You also want to find a place that doesn't have any exterior walls. So let's say you don't have a basement, but you do have a closet that's kind of in the middle of your house. You want to go to that closet because it is going to be more structurally sound than, say, the bathroom that is against the outer walls of the house. If you're outside, you want to get inside if possible. If you're in a car, stay in the car. Do not try to outrun a tornado either. So yeah, I grew up in the Midwest, so tornadoes are like a, I don't want to say regular occurrence there, but they kind of are. So I have been in a few situations that were very scary. The first one was when I was in elementary school, and we had just gotten on the buses at the end of the day, and we're on the way to pick up the high schoolers, because small town, we all rode the same bus. And we heard on the radio that as soon as we got up to the high school, everybody needed to go into the school because there was a tornado coming. So very scary situation. Obviously, okay, it missed the school, so we were all good. But that was the first one that I remember having experience with. And it never gets easier. Hurricanes. Hurricanes are huge rotating storms. They have strong winds, heavy rain. They also cause powerful waves because of the wind speed. They form from winds spinning in opposite directions over the ocean. So think about kind of similar to tornadoes, only tornadoes are over land, with the exception of like the water spouts, and hurricanes are over oceans. They begin as a group of thunderstorms moving over tropical ocean waters. So tropical tells me it is warm ocean water. The winds are traveling in 2 different directions, causing spinning. So you may have one going east and one going west, and they kind of join together and start spinning. And the warm water actually provides energy for the storm to grow. So the warmer the water, and the more water it has to travel across, the stronger these storms can get. So down here it says warm ocean water, more than 80 degrees Fahrenheit, provides energy for the hurricane. The winds come together and force air upward. The winds flow outward above the storm, which allows the air below to rise. And the humid air rising makes the clouds of the storm. And then the winds outside the hurricane steer it and let it grow, and they just keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Hurricanes, think the damage a tornado can cause, but a little bit grander scale depending on the size. And we categorize them as 1, 2, 3, or 4 once they become a hurricane. 4 is going to be the largest, most destructive. 1 is going to be the smallest, least destructive. They can knock down trees, telephone poles, houses. Most of the damage here comes from flooding, believe it or not. So if you look at the 2 pictures here on the left, the top one is what this place looked like before a hurricane hit, and the bottom one is after the hurricane came through. And you can see this building where the arrow is in the front. It's missing the entire top level, including the roof. And back here, you can see that this house is severely damaged as well. This house, or these houses, are gone. This one is destroyed. This one is gone. I mean, they're just devastating. I lost my train of thought. I'm sorry. Sometimes when hurricanes hit land, they can actually spawn tornadoes as well. So in some places you will have the hurricane winds and then tornadoes also to contend with. In the outer edges of the hurricane, tornadoes, there's going to be severe storms, thunderstorms, and tornadoes can form there. The center of the hurricane is called the eye, and it is actually very calm. Satellites and other technologies have allowed scientists and meteorologists to get inside the eye and find that the winds are very calm inside of the center of the storm. So comparing and contrasting tornadoes and hurricanes, hurricanes again form over warm water. The greatest damage comes from storm surges and flooding. They lose speed over land. So once they hit land, they kind of start to die down because they don't have that warm water anymore to fuel them. They are very predictable. So we can look at the way it's moving and predict where it's going to go. They are big, but they are slow. Tornadoes usually form over land. Like I said, there are a few exceptions. The greatest damage here comes from the winds. They sometimes last only a few seconds, and they are very unpredictable and fast. So you could have a thunderstorm going on, and then all of a sudden the conditions are right, and there is that tornado. Meteorologists are starting to get better at predicting where they could happen. So that's where, like, the warning system, you ever see a tornado warning or tornado watch? Those systems come from what they've been able to do, but even then they can't pinpoint it exactly where it's going to touch down, how long it's going to last, the path that it's going to take, because the winds can change so much in a short period of time. And they usually are, like, on the ground a couple seconds. There are instances where a tornado has touched down, traveled, been on the ground a few seconds, and then left, and then touched down like 2 miles down the road, and it's the same tornado. It never really went away. Some similarities, they are both caused by low pressure systems and high wind speeds. Winter storms, something that I'm so glad we don't have often down here in the South because I hate snow. These are caused by quickly moving cold fronts and come with high winds and low temperatures. Sometimes they're blizzards, sometimes they're ice storms, but they will always have a characteristic of having lots of snow. All that snow is very heavy, so places that get these winter storms, if the pitch of their roof, meaning the slope of their roof, is not correct, it can actually collapse their roof in. People can also get trapped in their cars if it comes real fast, or trapped in their houses because it just piles up in front of the door. It can leave you stranded. It can freeze you and animals. It can damage crops. It can block roads. It can freeze water pipes. If you know winter storm is coming, you need to find shelter and warmth and protection from the wind. The wind is very biting, so it stings your skin so much. And you also want to stock up on food if there is a potential for a winter storm. Floods is when an area is submerged by water, usually caused by hurricanes or thunderstorms, or just even days of heavy rain or melting snow. So if we go back up to these winter storms, if all this snow melts, it can cause a flood, because the ground, again, is not going to be able to absorb all of that water at once. And some of it is just, it's going to be too much. It can cause property damage. It can pollute the water. It can cause landslides and mudslides. So landslide is where the ground becomes loose and it literally like the ground starts to slide, or the top layer. Mudslides are a danger within themselves and can also cause death by drowning. Some safety precautions: if you are in a flood zone, it's better to build your cities and houses higher up than closer to the surface or ground level. Any questions about any of those? All right. For your assignment today, you are going to do an activity in Discovery Ed. It's called Hurricanes Exploration. The first thing you need to do is log into Discovery Ed. So go to your NC Ed Cloud, click on Discovery Ed, and then you're going to click on this link down here at the bottom of the second slide. And it's going to bring you here. Now, it is very important that you read everything, because the answers on the first 3 slides are going to be somewhere in what you have to read, okay? So you're going to read, you're going to click continue, and there's more to read. If you want it to read to you, you click the little speaker. And then whenever you get to this screen right here, you are going to choose from the options for wind speed, humidity, water temperature, and pressure. So let's say I choose low, high, cool, high, and click create hurricane. And if a hurricane cannot be created, you're going to see this message. If a hurricane can be created, you're going to see it pop up here in the screen. And what you need to do is record which option you chose from these, on these 4 categories on this last slide. So I want to know what wind speed, what humidity, what water temperature, and what air pressure you had that allowed you to create a hurricane. Any questions about your assignment? I'm almost done. I'm almost done. All right, if you have no questions, I will be here until 3:15 like always.